Horror Media.
They came. I was 14 the first time it happened, and I spent the next 20 years pretending it hadn't. It was summer, the kind of night where the air felt thick, humid, and unmoving, even with the window open. The smell of freshly cut grass lingered, mixing with the distant scent of pavement still radiating heat from the sun. My bedroom ceiling fan spun lazily above me, the blades chopping the silence with a rhythmic, hypnotic whir. Outside, the buzzing streetlight flickered, pulsing as if struggling against the darkness. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. At first, it was subtle, something just off, the kind of disorienting feeling where you're not sure if you're really awake or still caught in the hazy tendrils of a dream. My body felt wrong, too heavy, too slow. My limbs refused to move, no matter how hard I tried. My breath felt shallow, each inhale sluggish and labored as if something was weighing down on my chest, pressing me into the mattress. Then I saw them. They stood in the farthest corner of my room, tall enough that their heads nearly brushed the ceiling. My first thought was that they looked like people, but only just. Their silhouettes were human-shaped, but their proportions were stretched, elongated. Unnaturally narrow shoulders, arms too long, fingers impossibly slender and motionless at their sides. Their bodies had no texture, no clothing, no discernible features, just a smooth, light-absorbing darkness that seemed to devour the air around them. They did not move, they only watched. My throat burned to scream, but my mouth would not open. My muscles betrayed me, locked in place by something stronger than fear. My heart pounded against my ribs in uneven, frantic beats, each thud echoing like a drum in the suffocating silence. The air smelled different, sterile, metallic, like the inside of a hospital room. It made me dizzy, nauseous, my thoughts swimming in and out of focus. Then, one of them moved. It did not step forward in a normal way. Its body did not sway or shift the way a person's would. It glided, silent and precise, its head tilting slightly as it approached the edge of my bed. The closer it came, the heavier my body felt, as though it were sinking into the mattress, as if the thing's presence alone had its own gravity. And then, it leaned in. Its face, if you could call it that, was almost recognizable. Almost. But something was missing, something crucial. Its features were there, but they were wrong. The mouth was a vertical slit where lips should have been, thin and pulsating slightly, opening and closing in slow, methodical movements. Its nose was barely defined, more like an indentation in the smooth, featureless surface of its skin. And its eyes. There weren't any. Not really. Where they should have been, there were only deep, empty sockets, blacker than black. Voids so consuming that looking into them made my stomach turn. It was like staring into a hole in reality, an abyss where light simply ceased to exist. I could not tell if they were looking at me, or through me, or into something far beyond my understanding. The slit of a mouth twitched, opening wider. Then I heard it, not with my ears, but in my mind. Not yet. The words arrived in a whisper that wasn't a whisper, curling through my thoughts like smoke, seeping into the cracks of my consciousness. It was not a voice I heard. It was something deeper, something placed inside of me. And then, I felt them. Hands. Cold, too many of them. Fingers slithered beneath my arms, pressing against my back, curling around my wrists and ankles. Their touch was smooth, impossibly smooth, as though their skin lacked any imperfections, no ridges, no fingerprints, no warmth. My breath caught in my throat as I felt them lift me. I rose. My body was leaving the bed. The weightless sensation sent a rush of nausea through me, my stomach churning violently as I was hoisted into the air, my limbs dangling like a marionette. The air around me thickened, my ears filling with an eerie, low-frequency hum. Something felt rather than heard, vibrating in my bones, making my teeth ache. I floated higher, higher, and then they dropped me. The sensation of falling struck with a sickening jolt. It was only a few inches, but the impact rattled through me, my spine slamming against the mattress, the shockwave rippling through my chest. The sensation was unnatural, deliberate, like something had discarded me. My body bounced slightly from the force before settling. The moment I hit the bed, the presence in the room vanished. My paralysis broke. I sucked in air in desperate, ragged gasps, my arms jerking, my legs kicking at the sheets. My heart pounded in my throat, my skin damp with cold sweat. The room was still. The streetlight outside flickered in its slow, methodical rhythm. My ceiling fan spun, undisturbed. Nothing had changed. But I knew they had been there. I knew. The years passed. I convinced myself it had been sleep paralysis, a nightmare, some bizarre hallucination caused by an overactive imagination, until it happened again and again. Each time it was the same, the figures standing motionless in the dark, the paralysis, the crushing weight, the sensation of being lifted, of floating, of being handled, the whisper, the same two words seared into my mind, not yet. They were waiting. I didn't know for what, but I knew that it wasn't over. Then, last night, everything changed. I woke up, body frozen, mind screaming. But this time, I wasn't alone in the bed. Something was lying next to me. I could feel it against my side, its form long and rigid, its weight unnervingly wrong. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. It simply was. The breath that came from it was slow, controlled, but something about it sounded mechanical. Then, fingers, ice-cold fingers traced the length of my temple, pressing into my skin with unnatural precision, as though examining me. A slow pulse of sound filled my ears, a deep, reverberating hum that made my vision darken at the edges. And then, I rose, higher than before. This time the darkness swallowed everything. My room disappeared, replaced by a void so deep it seemed infinite. My body no longer felt like my own, as though something had severed the connection between my mind and my flesh. I was suspended in nothingness, stripped of time, stripped of self. And then, I fell. The drop was longer, harder. The impact sent a wave of pain through me, rattling my ribs, slamming the air from my lungs. My body jerked violently, my head snapping to the side. The moment I landed, the hum stopped. The presence vanished. And then, the final whisper, the words that chilled my blood more than any other time before. "We are finished with you. Live in peace. They have not come back, but something is different. I feel it inside me. I don't know what they took, what they left, what they changed, but I am not the same. And that terrifies me more than anything."